everyone, Jason Verdelli. Hope all is going well. Today I want to talk about focus and really what focus means to your community. And really when you start to bring focus to your community, how that can get your community to start working for you to help you achieve your goals, your mission, your vision. So what I mean by community, and I mentioned this before, is think about all the people that are around you right now that can help you achieve your mission. This might be anybody from vendors, customers, referral partners. It could be stakeholders. I mean, there's a number of different people that surround us right now that are a part of our community that can help us achieve whatever goal that we're trying to go after. But the biggest challenge I think a lot of us face when we're trying to do this, especially in a digital world, is to bring focus to that. We as even running a business, I can attest to this, is that, when we start businesses, we want to serve the world. We want to be, known for a lot of different things. But ultimately, that ends up being our biggest trap. It ends up being our biggest flaw, which is, going after everything that exists out there. And as I always say, there's a cost to every single opportunity that you face out there. So, when we look at focus, when you look at saying, hey, you know what, there's this opportunity over here, we can do that. There's this opportunity here, we can do that. Think about that. Hey, it might sound great, but there's a cost associated with whether it's your time, whether it's money. There is definitely a cost with every opportunity that exists out there. So you have to really say, does this really line up with our purpose, our vision, our mission, our goals? So what I want to talk a little bit about now is really what focus brings to this community and being able to do this, some of the benefits you can get. First of all, focus starts to shift people's thinking into how they can basically help. So when, once you start to say, focus on a particular niche, if you're in a business, you say, hey, we're going to focus on this particular target market. And we're going to stay focused on this. Even though we might have this and this over here, we're going to stay focused on this particular segment. What happens is you start to engage people, whether this is through blogging, social media, whether this is even in real life conversations when you go to talk to people, when you start to mention that, hey, we serve XYZ market, maybe it's associations. With Social Hub Site, we've realized that, the biggest value we can bring to any market, it really starts with associations. It's a community-based product, and associations are naturally community-based. So, when I decided to do there is saying, hey, let's focus on associations. And what happens is that, when you start to, the blogs you start to write, the things you start to share, people start associating you with that actual target market, and people then start saying, hey, you know what, I'm involved in XYZ association, or I'm involved in XYZ group or a club. And that's where you get people to start changing their thinking. What you don't have happen is where people look at you and say, Jason and those guys, they do something with social media, something with digital. I don't really understand exactly what it is. But if we have a need for a website or some sort of social media thing, we'll contact them, versus, hey, you know what, this is how they serve the association market. And here's exactly how I can help them. They don't necessarily need to know what you do. Sometimes by just knowing exactly who you serve, it makes it easy for them to understand. So make it easy on your referral sources. Don't overcomplicate things. Again, make your life easier. The second thing I want to talk about is how focus really starts to establish a position in the community for you. Really, when you look at what I mean by position is, think about competitors. You might even look at competitors right now. Your competitors might be your number one referral source. By positioning yourself, what you're saying is saying, hey, we're not going to focus in this area, but we're going to focus we're going to focus a lot in this area. So what that does is you have other people that maybe serve different areas of maybe the same customer around them. And what happens is they start to think, you know what, we don't really cover that. We're going to, when somebody needs to start a community, we're going to send Jason and his team at Social Hub Site, we're going to send them a referral so they can set up their community there. Or hey, you know what, we don't really handle work with associations. Hey, we're going to give this work directly to Jason and his team at Social Hub Site. So again, you start to shift, as I mentioned a little bit before, when it comes down to changing how people think. When you start to create that position, people start understanding exactly where you fit in to the overall mix. I mean, I always try to, with Phase 2 Solutions, could be in the digital marketing side of the business. I always try to look at it and say, hey, let's try to serve everybody. Let's try to really, be the one size fits all type of company. And really, even the what I've learned is even the one size fits all companies out there, they don't really handle a lot of strategy, or maybe they dabble in it, but again, that's not all that they do. So we've been able to position ourselves so they're companies that actually execute certain bits of work but again, maintaining our position maybe in the strategy side of that particular sector. So again, that's where your competitors and your quote unquote competitors, start to really become your referral sources and advocates to your business. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit is stress. I mean, when it comes down to stress in any business and organization that you run, we all know that it exists. You can't get away from the fact that when you have a lot of things going on in your mind, there's a lot of things to cover. You start to get stressed. So what focus does is really removes the thought process of, okay, we got this going on over here, this going on over here, this going on over here, this going on over here. Oh, by the way, in our digital marketing strategy, we have to do this. We have to build a website. We have to do social media. We have to tie this into this. And, before you know it, not only are you stressed, you're going to spend more money, you're going to spend more time. That really isn't going to pay off, for the amount of time and effort that you're putting into it. So, by focusing, by really saying, hey, we are going to focus in this particular area and we're going to create this particular position in the market space, you start to relieve that stress. You start to say, hey, we only have to focus on 3 things in our marketing strategy, or 3 things that even are in a digital marketing strategy that will help us get there. But we don't have to, we don't have to worry about spreading ourselves out into all these other areas. Again, you don't really, if you're working more than, if you're working more than 6 to 8 hours a day, you're working and you feel as if you have to, there's something not right there. There's either you're not delegating right, or in my eyes, it's not really, you're not really focusing on a particular area. So again, focus does relieve stress. The last thing I want to talk about with focus today is really how you start to see opportunities that never really existed before. So when you look at focusing, say, on a particular market or particular segment, you start to look at opportunities out there. Maybe events, maybe it's that conference, a conference that you didn't even know it existed, but it was 10 miles away. And it happens every quarter, where you can go out, you can network with people that are in your target market, or people that can help you. And you look, again, when you focus, you start to see these opportunities. When you don't focus, you look at it and you say, let's just try to go to every single networking event that exists out there, or let's just try to generate referrals from everybody. Let's just try to make everybody a referral partner. And ultimately, even though people might have the intent and the heart to give you the referrals and want to give you the referrals, they're not really going to do that, because again, there's just only so much time, attention, and energy that people can give you during a day's time. So when you start to focus on opportunities that exist within a particular area of focus, you look at you start to see things that just never existed. We found this, with Social Hub Site is, again, being our target market, being associations, we are starting to know exactly what organizations to become an associate member of, maybe the Association of Associations, or we're starting to learn that the different networking events, the speaking engagements. When I go out and I give my presentation, the power of building a community-centric organization, I can give that presentation, but I want to give that presentation maybe at an association where there's an opportunity for us to be able to generate some more business where it makes sense. So again, you're not going to see these types of things without focusing. Without focus, again, you're just going to see the top layer. You're never really going to dive deep into any particular area at all. So again, I mentioned a couple different things in today's video. Again, I mentioned the fact of how it shifts. You start to shift the way your community thinks and how they can help you. You start to create a position in the market space where people know exactly how they can give you referrals. They know exactly, really, again, how they can help you. You start to relieve stress. You start to focus on less things, but you get better at them. And lastly, again, you start to see you start to peel the layers of the onion. You start to see opportunities that never really existed without that particular focus before. So, with that said, again, start thinking about focus before you start looking into, hey, we want to do all this digital stuff. We want to go out there. We want to engage our community. Before you do that, really start to think, what are we really focused, and really what are we focused on? So I'll leave you with that. And until then, have a great rest of your day.